Hey, it's Mr. Routhier here, and we're going to do a little project together. We're going to take a person and turn them into one of these cool avatar Navis. And these guys are very characteristic. They're blue, they have stripes, they have big eyes, they have kind of wide, flat noses. So they have a very cool look. So what I've done is I've chosen a person, Miss Watson here. And I'm choosing a very large picture. I want you to see, like, this picture right here is 3587 by 2519. This is a great big picture, and that's what you want. Now I'm just going to take this picture and put it into Edmodo for you. So you can just go to Edmodo and download the picture. Make sure you use the download link under the picture to download it. Don't just right click on it and download, and you might get like the little tiny thumbnail of it, and then you'll be like, Mr. Routhier, why is my picture so small? Well, that's why. You did it wrong. Okay, so I found a nice picture, and you know, you want it one that's where it's facing you, and you can see the eyes and the face really well. So just use my picture for now. Okay, we'll do that. We're going to do this assignment a second time with your picture or, you know, someone else's. Okay, so let's go into Photoshop, and if you're new in my class, if you just type in PHO down here in the search area, you can see Photoshop appears, and you can just fire up Photoshop from there. Okay, so let's open up the Watson picture. If I do a file open, it's gonna, anything I download from Google Chrome is going to go in the download folder. So I'm in the download folder, and I scroll down and I named it Watson. And not sure what that error message is, but don't care. Okay, so now I've got my picture. Now we're going to start with the eyes, and we're going to enlarge these eyes one at a time. Let me zoom in on the eye a little bit, and I'll show you why we wanted to get a large picture. If I hold the Alt key down and then spin the wheel forward, you can see we can have fabulous detail on this eye, and that's what we want. Now, to start this out, I'm going to click on the lasso tool, which you can see is right here, the third thing down. That's one of your selection tools, and when you make a selection, it puts marching ants on the screen, and it selects that area. You got to make sure you pay attention to what layer you're on, though. Okay, so I've got my right eye, and I'm just going to draw. I'm going to freehand draw around the eye and the eyebrow. And it kind of looks like a raccoon now. And I'm going to take that, and there's a really neat command. I'm going to copy this onto its own layer. But before I do that, don't forget, before you do that, what we want to do is feather this. If I copy this right now, it's going to have a very sharp, hard edge. But I can use this nifty command here, select, modify, feather, and I'll choose 40, and say OK, and it will put a nice, soft edge around it. That kind of that blurry edge that you see. So now let's copy this layer, copy this selection onto a new layer. There's a really neat command for it, because that's really like 2 steps: copy, and then create a new layer, and then paste. It's 3 steps, but they made one command for it. Let me show you where it is. It's layer, new, and then layer via copy. Notice the shortcut is Control J, so we'll use this Control J over and over again. So click on that, and you can see it created a brand new layer up here for me. Let's name that so we don't get confused. Right eye. And if I hide the background layer, click on the eyeball, you can see there's a nice feather around this. Okay, we'll turn that back on. Now, we're going to do the same thing to the other eye, to the left eye. First thing you need to do, make sure you're not copying from the right eye layer. Click on the background layer, because that's where we want to copy. This left eye is only on the background layer. It's not on this right eye layer. Okay, we've got our lasso. And we have another problem up here. You can see the edge of her face. When we increase the size of this eye, it's going to expand out here and look funny. But that's okay. We'll fix it. But I just wanted to warn you that that was going to happen. Okay, so I've got that. Now I want to feather it. So remember what we did? Select, modify, feather. Okay, 40 is good. And then I'm going to use my Control J. I hold Control key down with one finger, and then the next finger I just tap J. Don't try to hit them at the same time. Hold a Control key down and then tap the J. And you can see I've created this layer 1 here, which is my left eye. And again, if I hide the bottom layer, I can see the eyes. Looks awesome, doesn't it? Okay. Now, let's enlarge these eyes because the Navi have pretty big eyes. So we're going to make the whole eye bigger. And then we'll make the pupil bigger too. Okay, start with the left eye. And how do we make something larger? We transform it, right? So if I do Edit, Free Transform, and notice we have another shortcut. If we want, we could use Control T, T for transform, and I'm going to free transform. Now, notice there's a cute little center reference point here. This should be in the exact center of the eye. And what we want to do is zoom in. Again, I'm holding the Alt key down and spinning the wheel in. And I would like to make sure that this center point is in the center of her eyes. It looks like it's right in kind of in between those little dots there. Okay, because what I want to do is I just want to increase the size of her eyes without moving her eyes. If I move them, increase them, and then move them around, I might put them in the wrong place, and then it should really look funny. Okay, so I've got my transform on. I've centered my reference point in the middle of her eye, and then I'm going to go up to width and height, and you can see 100%. And I think I'll just link that so that it stays. If I change this to 120, the other one goes to 120. Okay, and so I think that's what I'll do. I think I'll change that to 120. And it's 1,220. Let's get rid of one of those. Okay, so there's 120%. Is that enough? Maybe we'll try 125, see what that looks like. Oh, that's nice and big. Okay, so we'll go 125. Notice when I turn the link icon on, if I put 125 in here, it changes the height to 125. It keeps the proportions the same, or we might say it keeps the aspect ratio the same. Okay, and then I just click on the little check mark, or I hit enter, and I've taken care of one eye. Okay, so it's a subtle, it's obvious difference, but it's a little subtle, I suppose. Now I want you to notice over here it's kind of messy over here. Well, why don't we fix the second eye, and then we'll fix this kind of mess over here. All right, so here's the right eye, and we're gonna transform. So I'll just do Control T again, or you can do Edit, Free Transform. We'll zoom in. Let's get that reference point. It looks like it's kind of just to the right of that fourth little dot. Okay, and then I'm going to link the width and the height, and I'm going to go 125. No, not 12,500, 125. Okay, come on. There we go. 125%, and you can see it's on both sides. And I will say, yes, hooray, check mark. Okay, so now, look at her eyes are huge. But again, the Navis have big eyes. Okay, there's a little bit of a problem over here. And what I can do is I can apply a mask to this left eye. And we'll do that. Let's Remember this little button right here? This adds a mask to that layer. So click on that and you can see the little mask right there. And now when I color black, it erases part of this image. So what I'll do, come over to your colors. Your foreground color is the color on top and your background color is behind it. If you click this little white and black icon, it puts the white and the black there. Now we want the black on top, so if I just click the flip, now black is my foreground color. And now all I got to do is take my paintbrush and I'm going to paint over this white mask. Because see how it makes her look like her forehead is coming out like Frankenstein? And we don't want that. That's not attractive. Okay, so I'm just going to click on the edge here. I'm just going to paint the edge and try to get the edge of her face back. And I'm not sure how awesome that is. You know, maybe that's not so great, but it's what I got. So I'm trying to, you can see how the eyebrows are a little bit messed up now. I'm going to see if I can fix these eyebrows a little bit. And let's see, do I have any problems with the eyebrows on the right eye? We can add a mask here. And I can, it doesn't look like we have too many problems. I can shorten her eyebrow a little bit if I want. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we get big eyes. The last thing we're going to do in this exercise, this section, is we're going to increase the size of the pupils. And then in the next one, we'll work on the nose and the color and stuff like that. Okay, now, theoretically, everybody's pupils are perfectly round. So we are going to use, if we go up to the second tool, you can see there's a rectangle marquee tool, and then the second thing is an elliptical marquee tool. That's your circle. So you're going to click on that elliptical, get a nice circle, and this might take you a couple tries. Now, to make a perfect circle when you draw, you have to hold the Shift key down. So I hold the Shift key down, and then I click on my mouse, and I draw a nice circle. And what I want to do is I want to make that circle the same size as her pupils. Let me zoom in. And you can see I can click on this and move it over. And it looks like I did it right. That looks reasonable. And so now let's increase the size of her pupils. So, actually, no, before we do that, now we're going to leave a nice hard edge on there, so we're not going to feather it. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to create a copy layer just with her pupil on it. And let's remember, let's see, I'm on the right eye. I've just selected the left eye, haven't I? So we should probably go and click on the left eye layer. Don't, if you go on the right eye, nothing's going to happen. So make sure you're on your left eye layer. And then I'm going to do a Control J to make a copy of this selection and put it on a new layer. So here we go, Control J. And now you can see, if I get rid of this stuff here, there's her pupil. Okay. And this is the left pupil, so we gotta keep track of all this stuff. Maybe when we're done with the eye things, we'll just merge it all together, so we don't have to worry about it. Okay, so there's the left pupil. And what we want to do is increase the size of it. Okay, so I've got the left pupil is selected, and I'm going to increase the size. So what do? I do Edit Free Transform or Control T. Okay, I'm not going to worry about the reference point this time. And I am going to come down to the chain. I'll click that little link on. And let's go. Oh, what should we do? Should we do 125? See how that looks? 125. Oh, that's nice and big. Yeah, 125 looks good. We'll click the check mark and say yes. We'll commit the change. And now we've got to fix it, because look at the eye is like coming out of the it's overlapping the skin, and it's messing up the eyelashes. So again, the quick way to fix something, to erase a little bit from it, is to add a mask. So we'll come down to our mask button. Look at make sure click on our paintbrush and make sure it's black. And this is kind of large. Why don't we lower the size of our paintbrush? It's like 45 here. Let's go down to like 20 or 30 or something. All right, and now I want to get rid of the part where it's hitting the skin. Okay, so I'll just paint right here. Okay, and you can see I got rid of a little bit too much. That's okay. And now let's get the top so the eyelashes aren't obscured. There we go, and that looks nice. And I got rid of a little bit too much. All I've got to do is flip it and go back to white, and I can just click in there. Yep, and I just paint and make sure I get that looking right. Okay, so that's cool. Look at the size of that eye. Let's I'm gonna zoom out, and you can see that thing's huge. All right, so let's go over to the right eye. Click on the right eye and zoom in a little bit. We're going to use again our elliptical marquee. Hold your shift key down. Create a nice pupil-sized circle. And let's see, this is how I did. I grabbed the edge, and I didn't do very good that time. Let's try again. I'm going to hold the shift key down, and I'm going to try to make this circle again. Grab the edge, and this is a little bit better. Okay, so that looks nice. Make sure I'm on the right eye, and now I'm going to do Control J to make a new layer, the right pupil layer. Hold Control key down, click on J, and let's name it right pupil. Now we're going to make it 25% bigger, right? So Control T to transform. Click on my link, change this to 125, and it's 125 both ways. We'll commit that, and then we'll add a mask, and make sure we have a black paintbrush, and we will just paint the bottom here, and we'll just fix this. 28's a lot. Let's go down a little bit more. Marvelous. Doesn't that look nice? And let's fix the eyelashes on the top. Okay, looking good. All right, now let's bring this out, and you can see she's got big eyes. They're gonna look cooler when we color them later. One last thing, all these layers are just crazy. Why don't we mix all our layers together, our eye layers? So I'm gonna hold the shift key down and go down to left eye, and you can see I've selected all 4 of these. Let's just merge these together, make our life easy. If you click on layer and you do merge layers, you can see, and now I can click on that and I can just put eyes there. Okay, and so you can see I've got the eyes. You can see where the mask was, and where I got rid of the little edges there where I was painting. And now let's save it. File, save as, and I'll call it Watson Navi. And make sure you save it as a Photoshop document so it preserves all your layers. Okay, very good. Well, that is the end of lesson 1, and then hopefully tomorrow we'll get you lesson 2. Thank you so much. Where's my stop button? Bye-bye.